Hi, friends. Happy Tuesday. We are back. First time in a while we've done a dream team
Oh,
chat
yeah.
together.
Since we've been back.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's amazing. So it's been a while since we've had the tag team duo back to do a training together, but we are working our way through our new business building block series. Bria and I felt inspired to kind of collect some information, come together with a curated program of just that business blocks for your business, where you build one business block and you do it really well, and then you're ready to add the second and the third and the fourth business block on there. The goal of our program is to be able to get those foundations really well. And then also to recognize the simplicity in the basics of this business. Once you get the foundation down and you understand the basics well, you can start adding in those things that bring you joy, right? Like maybe the cute printables or the other fun things in your business that we sometimes call fluff, maybe things that are not income producing. Those are things that you can add in there as you are getting the foundational parts of your business in check, or alternatively, get rid of some things as you're reestablishing these business blocks. But our goal for you is that you are focused and very aware of where you should be putting your time and effort in your business. Okay. So, week one, we went over sales. We really think that that is where it all begins in this business. Whether you're wanting to be a hobbyist or a full time consultant, having the foundational business block of understanding sales, how to get them, how to provide great customer service, how to serve your customers well again and again and again on a consistent basis. That's what we covered week one. Last week, we stepped into recruiting, which is different than today's topic of sponsoring. Recruiting is talking about the conversations that you're having to bring someone onto your team and what that process looks like and how important it is to master that foundational part of your business as you're trying to build, right? You're working on your sales, you're stepping into recruiting, bringing people onto your team, and what it takes to be someone who's a good recruiter. And then this week, week three, we are jumping into sponsoring, which is different than recruiting. And so we're going to kind of talk about that and what that looks like in your business in a way that it can be fun for you and then also be duplicatable for the people coming after you. So that's what we're doing. And then week four, which we'll wrap up next week, we're going into personal growth. And we think that that is going to be so important. Just as an umbrella to these business blocks for you guys. So we wanted to spend some time talking about that. So you can expect that next week. Hopefully this has been good for you guys. What I want you guys, and I know you too, Breeze. We want you guys to remember that we're independent consultants and you are independent consultants, okay? And so at the end of the day, online spaces are really cool because we get lots of ideas and inspiration and a lot of connections, but also comparison can creep in. And when you are trying to build and refine your business, when you are seeing ideas left and right from other different consultants, it can really sometimes put a damper on your creative energy, the flow that you have going, and the pride that you have for your business because you start comparing yourself to other consultants. And I just, before we dive into anything else, want to kind of like circle around to that and just remind you guys that your customers don't know what other consultants are doing. Your customers are wanting to shop and love you because of what you've showed them and the ways that you've made them get to know you and like you and trust you and the way that you do business. And so really, especially when it comes to these moments in your business where you maybe are going a different direction or deciding to like really go for it, I want you to just keep that in mind that it is okay to just put your head down and focus on what you know you need to focus on, and you can expand that later. Okay. Go ahead, Kirsten. Okay. Also, moving into this week's topic of sponsoring, I did want to talk about how sponsoring and oh, it is recording. Okay, I didn't see it. I guess I moved
Oh,
it.
yeah, they moved it.
Sorry, y'all. I wanted to go over how recruiting and sponsoring are different. Okay, Carson. They're totally different thing. Okay. Last week we talked about recruiting, which is bringing someone into this business. Okay. Sponsoring is different. They're completely different actionable tasks. Okay. Sponsoring is the ongoing relationship with the new consultant after they've joined and then forevermore. Okay. So it is the relationship, the ongoing relationship that you have with someone from the moment they hit the join button and then on. Okay. So this is a journey. This isn't something that you do and then it's done. Sponsoring is more compassionate and it's more relationship driven. And I think it's a really great parallel to our relationships with our customers because those are also relationship driven.
Yeah, and it's like a marathon type thing
Yes.
versus like a
A
sprint.
sprint where you're done.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. You really just got to focus on like the long-term goal
Yep. And
and not get hung up on like the obstacles
sure.
or
Yeah, and pace yourself,
yeah.
right? Don't burn
Yeah.
yourself out trying to go so hard. And we're going to kind of talk about that too. Okay. So again, it's that ongoing relationship with the new consultant from the moment they join and on. Meanwhile, recruiting is the work it takes to get them to join, the building of the trust, the answering questions, the listening well, right? The good conversations, the affirming any doubts that they may have. That is recruiting. And then sponsoring is going to be that relationship that you have once they join. Okay. And then before we dive into this a lot, I want to kind of talk about um, just the journey that you have as a sponsor, and to encourage you to jump into this process and grow and learn um, along the way because I have been a bad sponsor. I have done things wrong. There have been times where I was too harsh or too soft, or I gave too much or not enough. And what this can do is it can create resentment and burnout. And we want to avoid that, right? And so know that you will have what we call some leadership woes as you begin growing your team, just because it's a learning curve and it's something that you have to learn how to do, and you will learn how to do it. Again, like we said, week 1 and in week 2, everything is figure outable in this business. You can figure out, you can fine tune, you can learn, you can grow, you can stop doing, you can start doing at any point in this business. So don't let the fear or a flop prevent you from going towards those dreams. You can decide anytime to try again or to restart. And so just know that your leadership style will change over time. You will learn by trial and error at times, and just be kind to yourself and just know that you are learning as well, right? We are all just learning. We are all humans. No one is perfect, and that's okay. Okay. Um, and then really the overarching goal for tonight's topic and just in general is to have fun in this business. I truly believe that the key to longevity in this business is finding joy, is finding the happiness in this business and all sides of it, especially in sponsoring. I think the goal would be to be a happy sponsor, right? To love your business, to love your team, and to do it well again and again and again, right? And so, especially when it comes to sponsoring, when you are guiding someone else, you are going to want to be having fun because it keeps you checked in and it keeps you showing up and trying new things and motivated. Now, we are not always going to be having fun. There are times where it's work. There's times where you're tired. There's tasks that you don't want to do. Okay. But in the bigger picture in general, the Scentsy business is so much fun and it's filled with so much joy. And once you step into team building and you have a team and you are working with them and building relationships with them and helping them reach goals that align with their business plan, it feels so amazing and it's so much fun. So our goal is to be able to have fun as a sponsor and to have fun as a leader. Okay. And so we are wanting to then free yourself from the pressure of making people perform, because that is the leadership woe that we find when we're working with leaders who are up and coming and they build their team. We find a lot of times they end up getting bummed out and upset and discouraged because their new teammate is not performing in a way that they expect or that they know that they are capable of. Okay. And this is your permission for people who have teams currently and people who will have teams in the future. It is okay to not put pressure on yourself to make people perform. We can't do it. It's literally impossible. We can guide and lead, but we cannot make someone perform. Okay.
And we'll talk more about that. I'm going to talk a little bit about that later.
Mhm.
But like understand that that's gonna be probably one of your hardest things to overcome. And it might slip in again and again every now and then,
Mhm.
or constantly. That might be something you have to constantly fight against. Cause I know every time I sponsor somebody new, I'm like, I want to get them to do, to
Mhm.
do something and to like be excited and to keep going and to reach this goal and to do
Mhm.
this party and stuff. It's like I always have that want,
Yeah.
right? But I have to constantly remind myself it's not about me,
Yep.
right? And I'm gonna follow their lead. And if
Mhm.
they don't, I'm gonna be okay,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
And so you just know that, like, yes, we want to give you that permission, but also I know that just saying it is not going to take it away.
Yeah, it's gonna be a practice by situation type thing,
Yes.
okay? But it does get easier because
Yeah.
the more you do it and the more often it happens, the more you realize that this isn't personal. This is not
Mhm.
about me.
Mhm.
This is not something I did or did not do, okay? They're independent consultants. We cannot work this business for them. We cannot get new customers for them. We cannot follow up for them. We cannot close orders for them. We cannot post in their VIP groups for them. We cannot host parties for them. We cannot host fundraisers or events for them. It is their own business. Okay. There are ways that we can be great sponsors and we are going to talk about it, but this is your permission to allow yourself to not take that kind of stuff personal. You can't control it. You can only control what you can do. And that is the goal of being a good sponsor, is focusing on what you can control and kind of remove yourself from the outcome.
Mhm.
Okay. It's not your responsibility. Their failure or their success is not your responsibility. If you have a friend who does something really amazing and they have a mentor, okay, is it your friend or the mentor who did something really amazing? It's your friend. They did the hard work. Okay. Your friend did something really amazing with support and with help and guidance, sure, but your friend accomplished that goal. And that's really amazing. But it seems that the opposite happens when we think of failure,
Mhm.
right? When your friend fails, well, it was their mentor's fault because they didn't do enough, right? It wasn't her fault because that's my girl. It
Mhm.
was other people's faults, right?
Mhm.
And that is a mindset roadblock that we really have to shift from and recognize that other people's success and failure is not our fault. And also, likewise,
Yeah.
our success and failure is not our upline's fault. It's not our downline's fault. Okay. And so, this is really important. This is that arrows out mentality for yourself as a leader, where you are just focusing on doing your best, showing up as the best sponsor you can do, working your business. Okay. But you have to take accountability for your stuff in your business, just as your teammates have to take accountability for their stuff and their business. It is not your responsibility whether they succeed or if they fail. Okay.
If you want me to do this, because I recognize this goes with that,
Okay.
I can do that.
Yep.
I just wanted to point that out.
Sure. All right. Last thing from me.
Like, see ya.
Yeah. Anyway, learn to offer and then detach from the outcome.
Mm.
Okay. We kind of talked
Good.
about this a
Yeah.
little bit by removing that personal feeling towards it, but learn to offer and then detach from the outcome. What can we be offering? We can be offering training, coaching. If you're in this business for relationships, you can offer relationships, right? You can offer friendship. You can offer your time, right? So offer something and then detach from the outcome, meaning you can be really excited. You can be showing up for your business, focusing on what you can control, which is the offer, but you cannot control the outcome from that offer. So detach from it and move on with pride, knowing that you're showing up for your business and you're working your business really well. So try not to get too upset if you're offering, let's set up a time to get on a call. Uh, jump on tonight's training call with me. I'll be on those types of things. If you're offering, it's okay to step back from the offer once you've offered it and just be proud of that. Okay. Because we can't control what they're going to do. Some are going to jump on, some are going to do the training, some are going to get on the call with you, and some are not.
Mhm.
Okay. And that has to be okay.
Mhm. So that perfectly leads into this next little section, which is, what does a great sponsor look like, right? And this is going to be one of those things where we can give you these like bullet points, but truly different people need different things, and your way of sponsoring may look a little bit different than mine, and Alex's way of sponsoring may look a little bit different than yours, but the reality of it is there are some key points that we just want you guys to hang on to as you're moving towards what kind of sponsor you want to be and what does that relationship look like. These are things that we think are incredibly important to display and to just have in your back pocket and to utilize as a sponsor. Okay, so the first thing she was talking about, you know, offer training, offer coaching, things like that. And the first one is going to be model the behaviors that you want to see in your team, right? So this is where again Arrows Outcomes comes into play, and our whole like team better together mentality stems from this idea that we could not do this by ourselves. Therefore, we need everybody and we need everybody's input. We want to know how everybody else is working. We want to know what kind of training you're doing. We want to know what kind of training is feeding you right now. And so this idea that we are constantly showing up and showing our team and others how we're working our business is so vital, because as the saying goes, once you know the way, you show the way and you go the way, right? And so it's that idea of showing your teammates what it looks like to be a good sponsor so that they then model that behavior. It's showing your team and your people what it looks like to be a good consultant, and so that they will model that behavior, right? And then it's those little things that you can add in, like rewarding that good behavior. Rewarding what you want repeated is definitely something that does tend to work, right? When you get recognition for something, it makes you want to continue to strive to do that or to do more. And so it's important to really lean into the team culture that you're creating, whether that's inside of our True Life group, whether that's inside Scented Dreamers, whether that's inside your own team page, whatever you are wanting to fashion with your team, you need to make sure that you are leading the way in showing them and modeling what it looks like to be a good consultant and to be a good sponsor. Okay. The second thing that what a great sponsor looks like is they know what gets recognized and rewarded gets repeated. I already said that. Okay, I'm sorry. Glasses apparently aren't working. So knowing what gets recognized gets repeated, but also understanding that you don't want to just recognize the result, right? You want to recognize the action that people are taking. It's this idea that we want to cheer you guys on your working towards the incentive, even if you don't hit it. We know that you guys want to hit that incentive. Okay. We know that you want to take the trip. We know that you want to earn the things. But we also want to recognize that you're working on it, right? That you're doing the things, you're taking the steps. And so understanding that as a sponsor, you're going to be looking out at your team and looking at the people that are underneath you and seeing what they're doing on their way to whatever their goal is, right? And so even just saying, hey, I see that you're almost active, or I see that you've got 500 this month. I know your goal is 2,000. You're doing great. Like you're on your way there. Right. So it's that idea, and it's that balance of making sure that people feel seen. It is our job, and it's one of the most valuable things that you can do for your teammates. It's actually free. Like it literally costs nothing. Well, I shouldn't say it costs nothing, because it does cost time. Okay. And I know time is one of our most valuable assets. And there's going to be parts in here where I'm going to tell you to really value your time. But this is time well spent. Okay, in my opinion, it's income producing time well spent. Okay.
Yep.
So utilize your time in ways like we do, what's it called? Where we block out our days and fix it to different things. Time block, yeah, I guess. So like Tuesdays are typically our team days, right? Because we're here tonight with you every Tuesday night. And so we usually spend Tuesdays catching up with our team and talking to people and sending emails and things like that. And so I know that on Tuesdays, I'm going to be looking for people to reach out to. I'm going to be checking in with these people and really making sure that people feel seen. So the next thing that a great sponsor does is they offer coaching and training opportunities. And it's not, and we can't just stop there, but offering access to you in a way that helps them grow is so important.
Mhm.
You being accessible as their sponsor, and it's not necessarily about having all the answers. You don't have to have all the answers, right? Which is what I think people get scared by when they first start to sponsor, is they're like, I don't have all the answers. I don't know how to do everything. I'm not asking you to know how to do everything. I'm asking you to be accessible as somebody's sponsor, to offer them your time, again, valuable, right? To offer them your time to help lead them, whether you guys are finding out answers together or you know the answer and you're sharing your experience and you're showing the way. You need to offer that resource and other training resources to allow their business and them room to grow. I'm just going to say it, the team page is filled with resources.
Mhm.
And I would strongly disagree in saying that you need to recreate the wheel.
Yeah.
You
do
don't
that.
need to recreate the wheel. You don't, that is not a good way to spend your time. Okay. Go look for training that would help your new frontline figure out how to place a party order or how to do a home party or, you know, whatever. You can give them the tidbits that you know, but there's trainings out there. There's things, resources out there on Workstation, on the team page, on YouTube that you can lead them to. Don't spend your time recreating the wheel. It's
Mhm.
unnecessary. But you do need to give them access to you or those resources in order to find the answers that they need.
Yeah.
Or that they're searching for. If your new consultant comes to you and wants to know more information about doing a fundraiser, but you've never done a fundraiser in your life, please don't shut them down. Please don't ignore them, right? Your job as a sponsor is to lead them to the best resources that you have access to so that they can find answers. And
Mhm.
literally I do that probably once a month. Somebody comes to me and asks me about fundraiser, somebody in my team, and I'm like, I am not the fundraiser person, but I can give you places that are. Like I can show you people who are. Here's trainings, here's YouTubes, here's Alex's number. No, I'm just kidding. But I can show you the way, even if it's not my way, even if it's not the path that I paved, right? My job, your job as a sponsor is to offer all of that. But also make sure that you are being transparent enough to say, listen, there's tons of resources. Here's this. In my opinion, how we have set it up and how open this community is, not just our community, but like Scentsy as a whole, so many consultants are so giving with their ideas and their resources and the things that they've created, that there's really no excuse for things not being replicatable or duplicatable, right? Because it's as easy as going to such and such as YouTube and printing out this paper and following along on this paper,
Mhm.
right? So many systems are duplicatable. We don't even have to think so complicated anymore,
Yeah.
right? We just need to be honest with the people that we're sponsoring or with our team and say, this is how I do things.
Mhm.
If this doesn't work for you, I know this superstar director does it this way,
Yeah.
right? Give them options
Yeah.
and let them figure out what's duplicatable for them. But if they get overwhelmed by something, you need to be able to point it out and say, whoa, okay, that might be too complicated then. Let's find something simpler.
Mhm.
What is actually the goal and how can we take less steps to get there, right? What can we cut out?
Yep.
That is part of your job as a sponsor, and maybe even for your own business you need to do this. I think I have to do this a lot. Me and Alex try to do it for each other where we're like, okay, wait, no, we're making this way too complicated. How do we scale it back?
Mhm.
How do we take out the fluff? How do we make it simple?
Yeah.
How do we make it not complicated for you guys,
Mhm.
right? And so you just, as a sponsor, you have to be able to check yourself, but you also need to be able to recognize it in other people.
Can I add something here?
Yeah.
So in these opportunities, right? The opportunity for coaching, trainings, connection, all of that is going to be so much easier to do when you're doing step one that Bree was talking about,
Yeah.
modeling the behaviors that you want
Yeah.
to see in your team. Okay. When you are showing up to the dream team chats, when you're watching the trainings, when you're training yourself in your free time, when you are connecting with your sponsor and your teammates, it's going to make it very accessible and duplicatable for the people under you who are following after your footsteps, because they see you doing it, and you doing it gives you direction on how to train.
Right.
Okay. When you are following up with your customers, you have a follow-up method that you can train on. When you are packaging up beautiful orders and delivering them to your customers, you have a system for how you collect orders and how you deliver orders and how you interact with your customers in between that. And therefore, then you have content and training and coaching to then share with your teammates who are then going to follow your lead. Right? So offering these opportunities, training, coaching, relationships, is heavily benefited when you are doing the things that then you're going to turn around and train them and coach them on doing.
Yep.
Yeah.
So good. So I was thinking about this earlier when Alex was talking, but now I'm actually going to bring it to the table because I've thought of another way that it correlates. But when you're talking about like sponsoring and the longevity part of it and how we want sponsoring to be a joy, we want your business to be a joy, but how there's not always going to be, not every moment is going to feel joyful. Not every task is going to make you happy, right? And to me, I was thinking about motherhood. It's like, if you ask any of us who are moms, we'll be like, yeah, no, our kids are the joys of our life. Like, I love being a mom, blah, blah, blah. But actually, like day to day, my answer might be different. Like, how's being a mom today? Well, today kind of sucked, or whatever. Not every moment is full of happy and rainbows and butterflies. But it's the longevity. We're raising babies. We're raising a business. Right? We're
100%.
raising independent consultants. And then going back to you being a sponsor and leading the way, and you actually doing the things and modeling the behavior. Again, it goes back to kids. When your kids are little, if you're a mom, when your kids are little and they're in your house until they're 18 or so, given that they move out, you and your spouse, or just you are the loudest voice in your kid's head. Yes, they're going to go to school. Yes, they're going to have friends, and those people may have some influence over them, and they're going to hear other things. But from the very beginning, from the start, you were the loudest voice in their head, right? So consider yourself the same as a sponsor. That person chose you. So in the beginning, you get to be the loudest voice in that person's head, in that person's business. You get to have but you get to have some influence, some realm of influence. Now, what they do with that, right? We tell our kids, don't do that. They may do it anyways, right? We get to have influence. With our kids, we have a little bit more control, but we have influence with the people that we're sponsoring. But that doesn't mean that we need to be the only ones speaking into them. Just like our kids, we can't be the only ones speaking into them. And so it's okay to introduce other people. Right? But in the beginning, the people who you've sponsored are going to be looking at you first. And they're going to be like, whoa, what's my sponsor doing? Oh, wait, she's doing that? Oh, that's really cool. And they might give a flip about what we're doing, right? So that's why modeling the behavior and talking about it and being open and honest. And I don't care if it sounds like a repeat of what me and Alex do, because you guys you're doing what we're doing because we taught you and we had influence over you. I don't care. I don't care, because there's people who really only have eyes for you. Right? And they're only watching what you say. So they skimmed right past what me and Alex were talking about. And so what you're telling them, what you're posting on the team page, may be the only thing they see all day, despite us talking about it for 3 days. Right? That's why it's important to speak what you're doing in your business, bring it to life. And I don't care if it's on the team page. If you're just sending them a text message, if you've got a group chat, if you got your own team page, if it's on a Zoom chat, I don't care how it's being relayed. It doesn't have to be on the team page. But make sure that you are vocal and that your team knows how you're working your business. Maybe you write it on your calendar and you say, every week, I'm just going to send out a group text to my team members and say, this is what I did this week. What did y'all do? Or post it on the team page. This is what I got done on Sunday. This is what I got done this week, you guys. I checked this, and this off. This is how I did this. Right? It doesn't have to be hard, but it matters that it gets done. Okay, so moving on. The last thing about what a great sponsor looks like, well, it's not the last thing, but in this general thing, is, I think, I don't know if it's the most important, but it's one of those things where if this is not intact, it can break the entire mold.
Mhm.
It can make your entire business and the function of how you are as a sponsor crumble.
It can just totally change the culture of your business.
Yes, and therefore onwards your team,
Yep.
right? This is so important. A great sponsor makes other people want their job.
Yes.
Okay. So I don't know what just came to mind for you, but truly, there have been times, and not Scentsy related, but like if I walk into a business and somebody doesn't greet me and they don't make eye contact with me and there's no small talk and there's no smiles and there's none of that, I literally think to myself, they must hate their job. Like they
Mhm.
must really not want to be here.
Mhm.
Right. And so you have to think about the interactions that you are having, not just with your team, but with people who could be your team. And this is why we say it's so important to encompass the Scentsy spirit and the arrows out mentality when you go into the world,
Mhm.
even when it has nothing to do with Scentsy, because people are watching you.
Mhm.
You are a walking billboard for who you are as a Scentsy consultant, whether they know it or not.
Mhm.
Right? And so when you're having conversations with people, and it could be somebody you know or don't know or whatever, and you're stressed out and you're mad and you're tired and you have no time and you're too busy and you're grumbling about something selling out, I'm gonna tell you right now, nobody's gonna want your
That's
job.
like the last thing that they're gonna want to do.
Yeah.
Is what you're doing.
Right. Right. They're gonna be like, wow, okay, well, sorry
Yeah,
that
I'm
you're doing
staying
that.
far away from that.
Right. And furthermore, it hurts, it can just hurt so many areas of your business, not even just sponsoring.
Yep.
Right? But then it's really hard to come back from that because it's like a first impression, even if it's not the first impression. Because a month from now, when we go into a new incentive period, which this is not true, but when we go into a new incentive period and you're like, oh yeah, Sarah from my son's football team, I remember talking to her that those couple of times, but her only interaction with you that she remembers is when you were complaining about something selling out and now you're reaching out to her about joining your team. It's not going to be great. It's not going to be great. And she might give you other reasons or whatever, but the reality of it is that she doesn't want to do your job.
Mhm.
She remembers the time that you were stressed out and mad. Right? And so this is not about painting some pretty picture on social media, although I am going to go back and say that showing up on social media or showing up in whatever capacity you want to the masses in a way that, yeah, it doesn't have to be all rainbows and butterflies. She has hard days, I have hard days, and I like to put a sliver of honesty out there because
Yep.
that builds connection.
Yep.
But you will never hear me complaining on my VIP page or my Instagram on any deep level about anything selling out, whether
Oh.
I'm mad about it or not.
Same.
Right? I'm going to hype it up like a good thing, whether
Yeah.
I feel that way or not. I'm going to fake it till I make it.
Yeah.
Why? Because it is a good thing. Okay. If we're really real with ourselves, but also that's not the part of the job that I want to spotlight.
Yep.
It may suck. Okay. But we'll get there when we get there.
Yep.
But I can't teach somebody how to have the right reaction when they're not even in it for the good parts, right? They're not even on our team yet. So why am I going to be like, oh, this sucks, but we're going to work through it and it's a positive? Like, no, actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show them how I'm working my business today, how my kids are helping me, how I did all these deliveries and I got to listen to the Post Malone album all day. And like all of these things that bring this business brings so much joy in. Yes, real life is happening. Yes, I do share some of that. But it's relational. It's
Yeah.
relational based. Even if I have a really hard day, if I'm going out into the world and I'm meeting people for the first time or I'm having conversations and they ask me how Scentsy's going, I'm putting on a smile and I'm telling them Scentsy's going great. I love it. Because I do. That's the overarching joy that Alex was talking about. If that's not deep seated in you, it's really hard to fake.
Yep.
It's really hard to fake. And people can see right through that.
Yep.
So even when things are hard, even when times are tough, in Scentsy, there's still that joy that it's like, I can't help but be like, you know what? I'm so grateful for my business.
Yep.
Like I could, and honestly, the point that I'm at, I feel like Alex feels the same way for different reasons. It's like, no matter where Scentsy goes in the future, if I never sell another Scentsy product, Scentsy has already realized so many of my dreams.
Yep.
Like I'm already living in what I never thought was possible with this business.
Mhm.
So there's no way that there's no joy, right? So you have to find that in yourself
Yep.
and be able to express that no matter what, right? Joy and happiness, this is a little bit on the religion side of it, but like joy and happiness are not the same thing.
Mhm.
Okay, hopefully you guys know that regardless of where you stand, but joy and happiness are not the same thing. Joy is contentment regardless of circumstance. Happiness is based off emotions and based off of situations.
Mhm.
Happiness is fleeting. Joy is always.
Joy is like deep down in you.
Right. Right. And it's like always there, no matter what. It doesn't change based off of today or tomorrow or this happening or this not happening.
And you can still have feelings and emotions in the presence of joy.
Yeah. Oh,
So
yeah.
that doesn't mean you're not allowed to have a bad day because you're supposed to be joyful in your business.
Right.
It means that even in the bad days, there is still joy.
Right. And those things coexist.
Yes.
Okay. So I'm not going to harp on that much, but that is so important
It is.
because it is that piece that if it is not, if you don't have that together,
Yep.
it can really cause some major damage in your business.
And beyond that, this business is so much fun. So show your new teammates you having fun. Show them the things you're doing that are fun. Give them behind the scenes stuff. Give them tips and tricks so they can do that fun stuff too.
Right.
Okay. Encourage them to get on the phone with their teammates and to jump into the trainings and to hop on this training with you, or, send them the reel that makes you think of them, right? Let them see you having fun because this business is a lot of fun. Okay.
Right. Yeah. So now I'm going to go into like the second part of what a great sponsor looks like. And this is more of like the tangible. We're talking about once you've sponsored somebody, what are those first things that you're going to do to step into being a great sponsor? And what does it look like to lead people in that and to walk with them through this journey, right? It's longevity. And when we say sponsoring people, it's like you sponsor a person, but even if that person does nothing, if you sponsored other people, you're still sponsored. Right? You're still leading a team. So it's not based on the person. It's based on this title now. You
Mhm.
have you are a leader. You have sponsored people.
Mhm.
So here's what stepping into that looks like. First things first, you offer the training. Okay. And we're going to talk about what that looks like, but like offering training, you need to be willing to be an open book and forthcoming and available right when that person decides they're going to join. It's like a clear the books. Okay, all right, here we go. We're stepping on the gas. These are the steps that I'm going through.
Mhm.
Right? It's like Alex says, you offer it and then you detach from the outcome because some of this is not going to go as great as you might think, and they may be motivated and then it turns out to be poop. It's okay.
Yep.
You detach from that. But here's what you do stepping into it. When somebody hits the join button, you schedule a call or FaceTime or a Zoom within the first 48 hours. Get them talking to you
Yep.
on the phone.
Yep.
Zoom.
Ask questions,
FaceTime.
let them talk.
Yes. Okay. First 48 hours. Why? Time kills all deals. Right?
So true.
And I know you guys have experienced this, even if you're not a sponsor.
Even with sales.
Even with sales. Yeah. 100% with sales. Which is why, like, I know my grandpa told me this, and it's something that I've always thought about. It's the being willing to walk from a sales point, but from the customer side, being willing to walk out of a dealership. Right? It's like people go into the dealership wanting the car and they'll do anything to get it. So they're there for 10 hours and all of a sudden they're signing papers on this car that they can't afford. Right? So it's like being willing to walk away.
Yep.
To give yourself time to think about it. The same can be true for our customers and for our people that we're sponsoring. We give them too much time. Yep. And it can kill the deal.
They talk themselves out of it.
Yes. So a person is most excited when they click the join button. It's like peak excitement, right? And what slowly begins to happen, although it's slowly, but it's kind of rapid, because they can lose that steam rather quickly.
Yep.
Right? It starts to decline. Our job as sponsors is to keep the momentum going. Maybe they're not going to stay up here, but we need it to not dip too
Yep, and
far.
we can,
And
yeah,
we come
we
through
can
and
bump
we're
it
like,
up.
okay, here we go. And we're
Yep.
gonna keep that momentum going. That is why getting them on the phone and getting them talking to you
Yep,
about what's next is so important.
yep,
That's why launch parties are so important.
yep,
But here's a couple little tidbits that I'm gonna add in there. When you get them on the phone, your job is to answer questions
yep.
and help them walk through the workstation.
Mhm.
That's why being on FaceTime or on Zoom is really helpful, because you can see what they see, they can see you, right? There's
Yep.
something really magical that happens when you get a face-to-face with people.
Yep.
Even over technology.
Yep.
Okay, so that is your goal during that phone call. Also, big piece here, and I know we've talked about this before. Please let them decide what their goals are. Please let them decide what the next step is going to be. Now, that does not mean that you don't offer what the steps could be,
Mhm.
right? These are the steps forward that we can take. Here are the Scentsy Start goals
Yep.
that are in front of you that are for the taking, and here's the benefits to those. I would love to help you reach those, but what do you want to do?
Yeah.
What would you like to work towards? And if they decide that they don't want to do that after having all the information, okay, great. So what does your role become, right? When you're on a FaceTime with somebody and they're like, yeah, actually, I actually just really wanted the kit, and I think that I'm just going to use this business to buy for myself. And so, yeah, I'll just figure it out, and thanks for the help. In your head, that should be, okay, cool. You tell them, I'm here if you need anything. If you have any questions, let me know. But yeah, totally okay with that. Cool. No more energy goes into that.
Yep.
You're not continuing to push them. You're not texting them the next day being like, okay, you're $400 away from a shooting star, because they
Mhm.
put in $100.
How are you
order.
working today? It's
Yeah.
like, no, they just told you they weren't going
Right.
to.
Right. It's
Right.
it's not that serious.
Yep.
To them, right? So it needs to not be that serious to you. That is your out.
Yep.
Right? Which I think we talked about with the recruiting part. I get that when we are offering the opportunity to somebody, it's really hard to detach our personal emotions, because we have this joy, we have this love for this business that we're just like, we want to share this, and
Mhm.
somebody takes it and they're like, oh, thank you, yes, I'll accept. And then as soon as they bring it in, they're like, yeah, but it looks better over here on my desk versus like me holding it and taking it around, right? And you're like, but wait, it's supposed to be held. It's supposed to be taken around. You're supposed to utilize this. We can't make people do that.
Yep. And hey, we love our hobbyists.
Yes,
You know,
100%
we need them.
the
As you're
hobbyists.
building a business,
Yeah.
you need those hobbyist people on your business, in your business. Because let me tell you, they're some of the most excited people about
Yes.
products coming
Yes.
out.
Oh yeah.
They close orders,
Yeah.
every few months,
Yep.
and we need them.
Yep. And there's nothing to stop them from turning a corner
Yep.
one day and doing something completely different in their business.
Yep.
But when somebody tells you they're a hobbyist and that's how they want to move forward, that is your permission to then turn around and put all of your energy in recruiting more people.
Yep.
And sponsoring more people.
Yep.
That's where your focus should go. It should be a bright red exit sign.
Yep.
Not exiting out of communication with that person. You don't put them in a corner and never talk to them again. You don't.
You know what your role is at
Yeah.
that point.
Yeah, and it's one of the easiest sponsoring roles you can have.
It is.
Because it's a very clear, okay, if you need anything, you know where to find me. You're still welcome on the team page. Resources will be there. I'm here. You've got my number. But then that's it. That's a very easy role to fall into, and your role then turns around and the focus becomes other people.
Yep.
Okay? I promise you, if you chase people in this business, it's not other people that you're hurting. or that you're having any effect on, whether positive or negative. Well, it probably is negative, but like, it's not that effect that's necessarily damaging. It's the effect that you have on your own self.
Yep.
Because chasing people literally is exhausting. I
And
don't
it
know
hurts
when
your feelings.
it hurts your feelings, and I don't know when the last time you played tag is. It's not.
We're too old for that.
We're too old. Okay, my knees are not ready.
We're grown-ups.
Tag, not fun.
Yeah.
As adults, we don't need to chase people.
Yep.
And it's just not good for your business. Now, if somebody is super excited and you're on the phone with them and they're like, yes, I would like to try this out. Yeah, 500 first 15 days. How do we do that? Launch party. Launch party, right? First go, really try to get a home party. In-home launch party. That's where the magic is, right? Online, secondary.
Mhm.
Those two things can happen at the same time, right? You can have a online and a home launch party. That can happen at the same time. But if they are unwilling or cannot in any way do a home party, then yes, online. Offer to help them with their launch party.
Mhm.
You will have some people say, nope, I've got this. I can do it. I want to do it on my own. It's all good. And then you will have some people who say, yes, please come.
Yeah, they would have never done it unless you offered to
Yeah,
help.
please come, bring everything. Actually, can you do it for me? I'm gonna sit in the corner with my friends and I will just talk to my friends, but I'm terrified of public speaking. Yes.
If you can, make it happen.
If you can, do everything you can.
Prioritize making it happen.
Prioritize, right? Because this is the first in-person, real life modeling of how we do this business.
And if they're not local, please get on Zoom or FaceTime with them.
Yeah.
And talk it through.
And be present for their online launch party, right?
Mhm.
That the online part of it's so easy because you just basically get to be a keyboard cheerleader. And that's the best kind of keyboard person you can be, as a cheerleader.
Mhm.
Okay. So you can be in their launch party online, hyping them up. And that's your role. That's part of your role. Okay. So the big thing here in the longevity of sponsoring people and what these little mini goals should be is we should be teaching people how to fish, right? And again, I'll take it back to kids. I don't say that I'm raising children. I'm raising adults,
Mhm.
right? I'm trying to teach my kids skills and emotions and ways of being in this world that will serve them as adults. Okay, my kids are going to be kids no matter what. I need them to be good adults.
Mhm.
We need our baby independent consultants to be thriving independent consultants, whatever that looks like for them, right?
Mhm.
Whatever their success looks like, great. But we need to grow them into that. None of us stepped onto this scene and knew exactly what to do, right? But we either chose one of two paths. We either took advantage of all the opportunities and our sponsor and learned and soaked in the information and figured it out and made mistakes, or you said, my person's not helping, I'm just going to sit back and not do anything. Or I'm gonna text my sponsor every time I have a question and wait for her to respond, and I'm not even gonna look, right? Two ways. We need to teach our people how to be people who know how to fish.
Mhm.
We need to show people where the resources are. And if we want to get real down and dirty, this is what 70 days of a sponsor looks like, right? In those first 70 days of your new consultant, being a new consultant, those first 70 days, I am responding to your text messages. I'm getting on a couple Zooms with you. We're doing your launch party. I'm teaching you all the things.
Yeah.
I am walking step by step with you. After those 70 days, I want you to fish. I want you to take a moment to go find the resource, because I've
Yeah.
already shown you where it's at. You've been a part of the team page. You've been on the workstation. That doesn't mean I'm never going to answer another question again. That's absolutely not what it means. But I am going to give people the opportunity to find the information on their own. Why? Because when you allow somebody the opportunity to find something on their own, they don't forget it.
Yep.
But if I just answer your question, it's like, okay, cool, my question's answered, let me move on.
Yep. And they get practice of learning how to search for it, right?
Right.
Sifting through different ideas and coming up with their own.
Right.
It's a very valuable skill that we can teach by just encouraging them on where to look.
Right. And it's like Alex said about the comparison part, when we spend too much time looking at what other people are doing, it dulls our own creativity because we're not using our brain power to think about what's actually in our own head. We're
Yep.
just using our eyes as windows to bring in everybody else's ideas.
Yep.
Same thing when you just give an answer to somebody. They're not even thinking about what resources are out there or how do I find it? How do
Yep.
I navigate the workstation? How do I search the Facebook page?
Yeah, at that point, you are their resource.
Right. And you can't be their resource all the time. Which leads me to the second part of leadership, which has become, this might be controversial for some leaders, and if this is not the approach you want to take, then I don't think everybody has to take it.
Mhm.
I know for me as a leader, and I know for Alex as a leader, and I know for many other leaders that I have talked with, this is an approach that has become very helpful, and it's called the 24-hour rule. So long after the 70 days are over, okay, long after you have shown, you have talked through, you have done the things with your team, your consultants, blah, blah, blah. Long after you have done all that, if a person is refusing to fish on their own, your job as a leader is not to be at their beck and call,
Mhm.
and is not to respond to every text message, email, Facebook message, blah, 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 right? This is your business and you get to curate it how you want to, but this business should not be your entire life. Your team should not be your entire life. Okay. You have your own business to run along with your household and your kids and your friends and your spouse and all of the things. This is not the only thing on any one of our plates. I already know. So allowing people to think that you are going to answer your phone no matter what time it is, no matter what it's about, no matter what, you're going to drop everything, is a disservice to you and a disservice to them.
Mhm.
And so boundaries are good. Boundaries are good. There is no person on this Zoom who does not have boundaries. If you lock your door at night, you have boundaries, right? Everybody has boundaries, and you need boundaries in your business, and you can come up with them on your own. You can create your own boundaries.
Mhm.
One of the hardest parts for me as a leader was sticking true to my boundaries, because I am a recovering people pleaser, and I'm an empath, and I have a hard time letting messages go unread. And so there's a lot of that I had to figure out, and I just had to say it can wait.
Mhm.
We say it about launches. We say it about Scentsy a lot. There is no such thing as a Scentsy emergency. No such thing. There is nothing that would require you picking up your phone while you're at the park with your kids to answer a message. There is nothing that would require you to be texting and driving. There's nothing that would require you to not be fully present on a date night. None of that. No Scentsy emergency. So with that, as a leader, having healthy boundaries gives, in the long run, even if they don't know it, don't understand it then, gives your team permission to have healthy boundaries,
Mhm.
right? And I think that's one of the greatest things that we can pass on as leaders, is to teach other leaders how to have good boundaries. Because it's important that this does not drain you. Your business, again, the joy part, it should be giving you life. You
Yeah.
should be excited. You should not be waking up drained because you had your phone went off at midnight from somebody messaging you and you stayed up for an hour and all this stuff. Like, it should not be a drain to you. If it is a drain, you're doing it wrong.
Yep.
Period. So the 24-hour rule is something that I've had to implement just a handful of times. It's not something that I do every time. So
Mhm.
please, if you texted me and I didn't respond, and it's not always the case, and very rarely actually is it the case. It's for those circumstances where you know that you have given the information to that person multiple times and they
Mhm.
have access to the resources that you have shown them, and they're just refusing to look.
And being disrespectful of your time.
Right.
I'll just be honest. There are some people that I've had in my 9 years of sponsoring who
Yep.
just did not respect my time.
Yep.
As far as they expected answers right away. They had a million questions of things that they could find the resources to.
Yep. And if you haven't experienced that yet, I promise you, you will.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is coming. This is not something that like, well, if someday
Sometimes happens.
it
Yeah.
will come. If you continue to sponsor people, you will have this happen. And I just want you to be, this might sound really harsh, and it's okay if it sounds a little prickly right now. One day you will get to a season where you go, I get what they're saying. I get it. I need to do that. Okay, so the 24-hour rule is strictly giving yourself permission
Yeah.
to wait 24 hours to respond. And you know what magically happens? Usually within that 24 hours, like 98% of the time, the person finds the answer.
Oh, never mind, found it.
Never mind, found it.
Yep.
Wow, it's like magic,
Yep.
right? Because that person wants the answer right now.
And you know what I do when I reply? Sometimes after 24 hours, I'm like, oh, you can find that on the Workstation Training Center. Have you found it yet?
Yes, yeah, if they
You
haven't
know?
said anything, that's exactly how I respond too. But if they've said, oh, found it,
Yep.
awesome, good job.
Yep.
So glad that you found it.
Yep.
And that's it. 24 hours. Some people sometimes need 24 hours. Just like sometimes we need space
Yep.
to chill.
Yep.
Like, it's okay. It's
Yep.
okay to give people time to think, to use, and that's a benefit to them. They may not see it that way. They may never see it that way.
Mhm.
But I promise you it is.
Yep.
We are teaching consultants how to be thriving consultants in their business. Having boundaries, showing the way, knowing the way, and going the way is the foundation of all of that.
That's right.